House Bill 11, passed this year in March, is a bill that restricts high school students athletes to only participating in sports with a gender on their birth certificate. Governor Cox himself tried to veto the bill, but his veto was overturned at the last minute. As a small reminder, there were 4 transgender kids playing in Utah high school sports. Only one was playing girls' sports. In the past month, there have been 3 major walkouts protesting the bill: East High School, West High School, and Clayton Middle School. The first to demonstrate was West High on the 6th. Mara Leno, one of the organizers of the walkout, said, quote, "You guys keep trying to shut us down, and for what? What about our presence, scares you? What about our presence does to you? Are you, scared of us? Are you intimidated by us? What is the reason to do all of the things you guys are doing?" The next school was East High on April 15th. Students led by Ava Soul protested in the rain and were even joined by Senator Derek Kitchen. "We're talking about a small handful of girls in high school who just want to compete with their peers," Kitchen said. "If you feel like you're not representing the legislator, you're right." Most recently was Clayton Middle School. On April 22nd, students held up signs and chanted, "Let them play," and "They're just kids." There were at least 200 students. At Olympus High School, there's a club called Olympus Community Support run by Mr. Hopkins. We interviewed him to see what his thoughts were on the matter.
Hi, my name's Chip Hopkins, and I've been a teacher at Olympus High School for 28 years, and I primarily in the social sciences and in service, and I feel my ultimate goal is to create avenues of service and learning.
You run the Olympus Community Support Club. How have you seen the recent bill affecting the students at Olympus?
The recent bill affecting the students, fortunately, the students that gather in the support group have an extremely nurturing environment with one another, and they support each other in great ways every day, in informal and formal ways. And I had some discussion with them about the bill, and they had very interesting perspectives. I don't know if during the course of making your film, if you wanted student perspectives, but I found some really interesting ones from them, and they seem to be, it's interesting, I don't feel them being angry so much as insightful and willing to dialogue and articulate their feelings about it, which is nice, because it can be difficult. These are difficult issues for people, and as with any other difficult issue, to be able to communicate with it about it is key. So then they're doing that.
How can students take action and help show support to our genderqueer classmates at this time?
Not simple question, There's so much involved. It's a patchwork quilt. Here's the quilt. The whole thing is a quilt, but each patch is very different. What's happening is not the kids, but the whole country and the world in dealing with these issues. What's colliding is beyond just ideas, and it's down into values and religious affiliations and what someone thinks essentially about human beings is right or wrong. That added to the recipe of the dynamic that we're addressing with all LGBTQ rights and issues surrounding that is the fact that it's hard to dialogue when the core values that dictate how we feel about issues are so very different. You know what I'm saying? I would recommend, as though anyone was asking my recommendation, do not come off as though you're waiting to get angry at someone. And even when I speak to, it's not as though there's one homogenous belief. This is what these people feel. This is what these people feel. Within my group of very blended students, the very different logic and rationale, to tie the circle back to sports, to students playing in sports, which we were kind of alluding to overall. And even within the group who's totally on the same side about these sorts of issues, there was very different logic as to why or why not. And why they had their opinion, which was fascinating, because they sat there, we talked for 15 minutes, and at no point did one of them throw up his or her hands and just grab their book and say, "Forget it, we just don't agree," and like that. We had a very fluid conversation and discussion about these issues. So I think the first thing to facilitating dialogue is the willingness to understand that people are feeling different, but the willingness to not feel, I guess at the bottom line, an attack mode.
These kids are brave. While the senator who helped sponsor the bill, Dan McKay, says it's important to hear those voices and to recognize those concerns, history shows that they think otherwise. First there were the protests for the banned books in the Canyon School District, and now this. Things won't change without direct action. What will you do?